up, brother? Welcome to Trust Me, Bro. How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Nice.
Here, we're just for our audience. We're actually here in person together today, checking out a episode of Trust Me, Bro. So,
Yep. Yep. In the same room, brother. This is the first time.
yep, first time
So,
ever.
nice little treat for all of our viewers.
That's right. All right, Craig. So how'd you do on the playoff matchups this weekend?
Yeah, man. Pretty solid. Pulled off a couple wins, going to 2 Super Bowls. Playing for the toilet bowl, which is nothing to really be proud of, but hey, man, when it's your money back, it's your money back.
Nice.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Oh, well, let's see. I went into the weekend with the opportunity to play in the playoffs in three of my leagues. Ended up losing one of them and won the other two. And so I'm playing for a Super Bowl this weekend in my neighborhood league, and I'll be playing in Week 17, continuing on in the playoffs in the League of Champions, which is a 18-week league. So
Nice.
happy, yeah,
Congrats.
happy to have won two out of three. So as we get this deep into the playoffs, it's all hands on deck. So every win counts at this point. So
That's right.
just happy to move on.
Do or die.
Yep, absolutely, brother. And so yeah, I think that my major contributor this week, the common denominator among the two teams that moved on in the playoffs was ex Cowboy, wide receiver for the Browns, Mr. Amari Cooper, and so his performance ended up propelling me on forward into the next round of the playoffs in both leagues.
Yeah.
So with the bonuses and escalators in one of the leagues, it has a bonus. I think it's like an extra 5 points if you get to 100 yards, and then an extra 10 points if you get to 200 yards. And sure enough, Amari Cooper, I think he had like 240 some odd yards and two touchdowns. And he also had a 2-point conversion. So that ended up giving the guy 61.5 points in one league. And then the other league, which is a half point PPR, which has no bonuses, no escalators, and they ended up with 48. So anyway, yeah, solid
That's
production.
it's freaking amazing. Freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Like I get,
Yeah.
there's been those guys, where you pick them up or you got them on your squad and they've done okay through the year, but then they just ball out right when you need them to. But I can't remember anybody balling out like that.
Right.
Right when you need them to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
know. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about league winners, right? And I remember I brought
yeah,
up Jamar Chase's name, and I know he had a similar performance. Let me look back and see what he did. Let's see. Here we go. January 1st, 22. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, 11 grabs for 266 yards and three touchdowns. So right there, I mean, and that was even a little bit better actually than what
yeah,
Coop just did. I mean, Coop got two TDs and a 2-point conversion, but yeah, this guy had 266. So yeah, he beasted him by like an extra 20 yards and then another tutty. So yeah, it's rare though, very rare.
yeah,
That somebody's
yep,
going to do that. And like you said, I mean, he's somebody that you consider just rather pedestrian. I mean, there are lots of people that even put him on the bench, and didn't even want to play him,
yep,
in their playoffs. But with a guy like Jamar Chase, yeah, you're going to expect. I mean,
yeah,
you're going to come to expect those 100-yard games and things like that. He's somebody you're relying on, in your fantasy football playoffs. But Amari Cooper really wasn't somebody that people were, eyeing to have that kind of performance. So
yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly it. Yep. Well,
yep,
nice, man. Well, here we go, dude. We're down to it, man.
yep.
This is do or die time. This is when all the cards are on the table.
That's right, brother. All right, so let's get into the picks from the waiver wire. It's Tuesday evening. I know we normally do our shows on Monday night, but yesterday was a holiday, being Christmas,
Merry
and so
Christmas.
yep, Merry Christmas to you too, my brother.
Yeah.
So hope all of our viewers had a fantastic Christmas, and we're ready to press on and look at the waiver wire and see what is out there that might help you win your league. And so why don't you kick us off, Craig, with quarterbacks?
Yeah, definitely kick us off, man. And I kind of want to preface all of my picks today. So I've only got two quarterbacks. I've got two running backs, two wide receivers, and one tight end. So at this point in the this point in the season for fantasy football, I mean, we're down to it. For anybody that's still alive, still maybe going to the Super Bowl or trying to get to the Super Bowl this week. These are guys that I probably would play. If
Sure.
if I needed a quarterback, if I needed a running back, whatever, I would go get these guys and play them. So kick this off, Nick Mullins. He's 12% owned. You know, I think he might have had 3 or 4 interceptions, but 411 yards, 2 tutties. He's got Green Bay coming up, and they've just been awful against quarterbacks. The last 3 or 4 weeks,
Right.
giving up 20 plus fantasy points to every quarterback that goes against him. So I think there's a lot of upside here, even with the possibility of Addison being out. He's still got KJ Osborne to throw to. Obviously, JJ's back. He lost his tight end, but I think there's a lot of upside with Nick Mullins.
Yeah, totally agree, brother. I actually had him written down as well. So we're in sync on that pick. Like you said, somebody who's throwing for north of 400 yards. I mean, in the fantasy football playoffs,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ignore that. I mean, that type of production. Yeah, you're right. He did get unlucky with those 4 INTs, but that's something that hopefully he can clean up in this next game against the Packers. And yeah, if he can produce, over 300, let's just say absolutely, he gets to over 400 again and then cleans up those INTs. Man, you got yourself a
Yep.
league winner right there. So
Yep.
good pick. All right, very good. Well, I'm going to talk about somebody we brought up on the show, several times throughout the year. But Baker Mayfield with the Bucks, he's 64% owned on the Yahoo side, so just underneath our 65% threshold. In week 16, he had 283 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. And I remember watching that game, and I was thinking to myself, and I went back and looked at the stats afterwards, and the stats just don't really match what I saw on the screen. I mean, he passed the eye test. He looked fantastic. The Bucks were moving the ball down the field at will throughout the game. I know that Chase, the kicker, he got a lot of opportunities there, but the Bucks were scoring at will. I don't even think that they punted until sometime in the second half. So they were driving down the field and scoring, at will every single time against the Jags. So they looked fantastic out there. And I think he's going to continue to look good. They're playing New Orleans this coming week. And so it's and they're at home, and it's a divisional game, and they know how to play New Orleans well. So I could see that, being another good play for Baker Mayfield. He's playing a lot better than a lot of the established quarterbacks, at least so far in the fantasy football playoffs. Because here we are, we just got through week 16. So we've been through 2 weeks of the fantasy football playoffs, and he's been playing better than, these, big names. I mean, like, better than
Holmes.
yeah, Mahomes. Yeah, totally, man. But yeah, better than Mahomes, better than um who was that other guy? The guy he was just playing against for the Jags,
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Yeah.
way better than Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, so he's playing a lot better than a lot of established, even better than Brock Purdy played. Brock Purdy hasn't
Yeah.
been doing that great.
Yeah.
He did terrible this past game. So yeah, I mean, even if you have an established name, let's just say a name brand guy that just ain't quite delivering, the Baker's someone to turn to.
Yeah. Hey, man, I agree. I've been a Mike Evans owner, and I certainly appreciate Baker Mayfield getting him the ball.
Yep.
Man, with my second pick at quarterback, I'm going to take the other side of that. This game
Mhm.
definitely has the potential to be a shootout.
Sure.
And that's Derek Carr. We've talked about Derek Carr a few times. 22%
Mhm.
owned right now in the ESPN leagues. He's 319 to 3 tutties. Tampa Bay's pass defense is pretty soft. There's been a lot of quarterbacks have been putting up points there. I could easily see this being a shootout where both quarterbacks have 3 tutties, 300 yards,
Yeah.
plus. So, yeah, I mean, I think both would be a good shot. Give you a good chance to score 20 to 30 points at your quarterback position.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Vegas, I remember hearing on the radio earlier today on the drive up here, was that I think the over/under on this game, Vegas set it at like 41 or 42, which I think is a little low. Like you said, I think it could be a shootout. I know that
Yeah.
the Bucks defense hasn't really been stopping anybody, at least not in the passing game, and so they've been kind of a pass funnel defense. So I could see this definitely going over that line. This could end up being, maybe in the low 50s, mid 50s, something like that. You're right. This absolutely could be a shootout, and so I could definitely see on some action on the Saints side, running it back and trying to keep
Yep.
up with the Mike Evans and Chris Godwins of the world and Ricard
Yep.
Whites and all the action that's going to be going on there. So
Yeah.
all right. Very good. And so my last quarterback is Joe Falco for the Browns, 33% owned. Week 16, he had 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. And so, yeah, he's definitely doing really, really well for a guy who just came off the couch about a month or two ago, or a little more than a month I think it was. And so, yeah, he's looking a lot better than a lot of these proven options like we talked about earlier. And so, if you have somebody you're nervous about at quarterback and you're not sure that you want to, roll with in week 16 week 17 in your fantasy football championship, then Joe Falco could be a decent play right there. Let me think who the Browns play. God, who was it? I know he just got through Texas, right? Or the Texans, and did really well
Yeah.
against them. Um, who are the Browns playing? Oh, I'm sorry, it's the Jets. Yeah, they're
Jets. Yeah.
playing. Yeah, they're
Yeah. A little better
playing.
defense there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're playing the New York Jets. It's in Cleveland, and it's on a Thursday night game. So sometimes some of these Thursday night games are a little tough to get, your fantasy players out there acclimated, on just a few days rest. It's a risk, big time. But I mean, I guess if you got somebody like Trevor Lawrence, T. Law, and you're just not feeling good about it, or your quarterback's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess he's the only one I can think of who's hurt right now, but there's probably others out there. But yeah, if you're really desperate for a quarterback and you're looking for somebody who's been turning it on lately, then he might be your guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue with. Just like you said, he's just been tearing it up ever since he came back off the couch. So,
Yep.
might as well let it rip one more time.
And this is a revenge game too, right? I think the
Yeah.
Jets just took a pass on him, and I think that I don't know. As soon as Aaron Rodgers went out, I mean, I'm sure that the Jets probably had to consider him after he did pretty well last year. I know he was making a star out of Wilson. Is it Garrett Wilson? One of their
Oh.
yeah, the wide
Yeah.
receiver.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I remember Garrett Wilson did really good. When Joe was passing him the ball, and then you know every time Zach would come back, it would just be terrible. So
Yeah. Yeah. I guess they
yeah.
lost his phone number.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Or you just decided not. I'm not going to play for you guys again. That was a disaster
Yeah.
last season. I want
Yeah.
nothing to do with it. So,
Yeah.
revenge game.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Cool.
So,
Running back time.
yeah, what we got running backs.
Man, I get so. Both these kind of hinge on watching that injury reports. So if um, if Pacheco's out with a concussion, which as we've seen through the year,
Mm-hmm.
usually that's about a 1 week absence. Pacheco could not keep
Yeah.
his helmet on this week, and his helmet flew off, I think, for the third time, and he got kneed in the head and went out with a concussion, didn't come back. So he's in concussion protocol. If he is out, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is a strong play, a very strong play, because you got Jerick McKinnon out. He had a pretty good show. Like that dude flashes some brilliance every now and then. 20,
Yeah.
whatever it is, 28% owned or something like that. Didn't do much on the ground. A little bit more through the air. 3 catches for 42 yards, but I
Yeah.
think this is more of like that last man standing type of play.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City's got to get it going, man. Like they just had a crappy showing. They looked like they were opening presents all morning and just had to throw their uniform on last minute and go play some football. Like they just weren't in that game at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if Pacheco's out, Clyde Edwards-Helaire I think is a strong play.
Totally agree, brother. I actually had him written down as well. 36% on the Yahoo side. With McKinnon being on IR, he's got the Bengals in Week 17. That actually is a fantastic play. And I kind of look at the Pacheco injury as what is the equipment manager doing? Can you find a helmet that fits this guy? What the hell's going on here? This is a multi-billion-dollar league, and you can't find a helmet to fit the man. I mean, this is pathetic. Yeah. So okay.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah,
Get some zip ties. Zip tie that shit to your chin.
right. Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah, I could understand like in high school when you grab somebody's helmet, just whatever. But this is NFL. Come on, man.
Yep.
All right, very good. Totally agree. That's a contingency play if Pacheco's out. So another play that I was looking at on the contingency side. So since we have a contingency side theme, let's go. I'm going to flip on over to Zamir White for the Raiders, 30% owned. And so he plays the Colts coming up. And the Colts has been a pretty good matchup for running backs. This is only if Jacobs. If Jacobs is out. So week 16, he had 22 rushes for 145 yards. He looked fantastic. And so I actually picked him up and played him in one of my leagues because I'm a Jacobs owner. And so it came right down to the wire. Nobody really knew if Jacobs was going to play because it was a Monday afternoon game. And so Monday morning, the news was out, but I had already picked up Zamir White earlier that week and just had him sitting on the bench and plugged him in. I was happy with the production. So I think he had 19.5 fantasy points in that league. So plug and play guy if Jacobs is out. So
totally agree, brother. Totally agree. He's been solid with Jacobs out. That's been they've got some new life in that team ever since they fired their coach and they got old dude in there calling he's got him fired up, and Zamir White's been playing good. Totally agree with that pick, man. We're going to continue the contingency. This one is contingent on who's the dude? Deontay Foreman being out. Khalil Herbert.
mm-hmm.
He's almost 50%. He's 48% owned, but he had a solid outing this week, man. Every time I looked up and saw the Bears, he was out there rushing the ball. I mean, he saw that number 24. 20 rushes for 112 yards and tutty. I think he could see that same kind of performance if Foreman's out. If not, you kind of have that three-headed monster. But with Foreman out, I think he's good. I don't know what Foreman's deal was. It was like a personal issue. He was not there, so I don't know if he was locked up or who knows.
Yeah, totally, man. I exact same. I had the same name written down as well. Like you said, personal issue. Maybe the personal issue was, he wanted to open Christmas presents with his kids. I don't know. I mean, who knows what the deal was, but good for him, man. Father of the year, right there. He was out. I was actually, up early that morning. Maybe I couldn't sleep very well because I knew I had fantasy football playoffs, coming up in just a few hours. That Sunday morning, the 24th, and I was sitting there. I saw the news that Deontay Foreman was going to be out, and so I was, like you said, three-headed monster. I didn't know which way it was going to go. I think it was like Roshan Johnson was the guy the week prior, right? And so I was thinking, should I pick that guy up? And so I think I did pick him up in one of my leagues. And I just left Khalil Herbert out there on the waiver wire. And so I didn't play Roshan Johnson, but, I picked wrong. I probably should have gone with Khalil Herbert, for the Bears, 45% owned on the Yahoo side. In week 16, he had 20 rushes for 112 yards and a tutty. So, the reason for me even looking at Roshan Johnson was because I was nervous about Pollard. And so I ended up playing Ford. So I hopped in my Ford, and my Ford Fiesta, got me nowhere. So kind of wished I would have kept the Ford in the garage and hopped in a Herbert and got my 100+ yards on the ground and a tutty. That would have been a fantastic play. But yeah, I chose wrong with Roshan and kept him in the garage too. So live and learn, right?
Carrying you, man. You can make a few mistakes like that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Coop picked me up and carried me kicking and screaming, or with all my mistakes, into the playoffs, to the next round. So, all right. So that's it for me, man. I'm fresh out of running backs. So,
Same.
all right, let's hop into wide receiver, brother. Who you got first?
All right, so let's keep that contingency going.
Okay.
So this one is contingent on Jordan Addison being out,
Sure.
and that's KJ Osborne. If
Okay.
Addison is out, he's got an ankle injury. Not sure the severity of it. Coach doesn't want to commit whether he's in or out, but keep an eye on it. If he's out, KJ Osborne is a play. I put a waiver claim in for him in one of my squads, and if Addison's out, I am playing him over DJ Moore.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
you got Justin Jefferson out there. He's going to draw double coverage. KJ Osborne's going to be the beneficiary of that. Hawkinson's out of the game. He's out of the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
they don't have a whole lot of choices there, man. And KJ Osborne steps up in situations like this. So he went
Right.
caught 5 of 7 targets, 95 yards in the tutty. Had a hell of a grab, down on the 5-yard line. So this
Mhm.
one, if Addison's out, he's a very strong play. If Addison's playing, he's still a considerable, but
Right.
I wouldn't be playing him over DJ Moore or some of the others that have kind of proven themselves here and there through the year.
Yeah.
But if Addison's out, I mean, I'm looking at getting 20 points out of KJ Osborne.
Yeah, totally agree. I love it. I think it was the news of Hawkinson going on IR that we received today that puts the cherry on top on that play.
Mm-hmm.
So 100%. Yeah, great play. Love it. Especially if Addison's out. I mean, that's what makes it viable. Totally agree.
Yep.
Okay. Next one I've got is Noah Brown for the Texans, 47% owned. He in week 17 he plays the Titans, and the Titans have been pretty soft on defense, at least as far as they've been what's called a pass funnel defense. And so I think he's a good play if CJ Stroud's back. And so CJ Stroud was out the past 2 weeks from his concussion, and so like the theme tonight, contingency, right? So if Stroud's back, I would say go Noah Brown. If Stroud is still on the mend, look elsewhere. But I think Noah Brown would be a solid pick if because yep.
Bro, I'm right there with you, man. That's a wonderful recommendation. I think it's definitely contingent on Stroud being back, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a concussion. He's due to come back. He's been on a couple of games. Kind of a surprise that he missed the second game, but you got to be careful with those things. With Tank Dell out,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just it's one of those where he hasn't really produced much of anything over the last couple of weeks. So I think that's a very strong play, man. Like he's one of those that can come from scoring 2 points to scoring 22 points easy.
Yep. Totally agree, man. We've seen it before. We've seen the guy go off for 25, 30 plus point games. So yeah, he's very capable. And so I think with Stroud back, and then Nico Collins also back. He was back this past game, so Nico Collins is going to be out there. It's not like it's the Noah Brown only show. So you got good threat on each side of the field, and then you got Robert Woods just kind of walking around out there. I don't know what he's doing. Catching the ball, falling down.
Taking a pass defender.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. All right, so I got one more wide receiver. How about you, brother?
One more.
Okay. All right. Hit me with your next one.
So Demarcus Robinson.
Oh, that's my guy too. Okay.
All right, perfect. 2% owned in ESPN. He went 6 for 6, 82 yards in the tutty. 13 plus points in the last 4 games. He scored a touchdown in the last 4 games. He's got the New York Giants coming up, who's iffy on defense. They have some moments of clarity and they shine, but for the most part, man, they're a little bit iffy. And this is one where if you kind of really need somebody to put up anywhere from 8 to 15 points, I think he's a pretty solid play.
Yeah, totally, man. If you can keep that touchdown streak going and make it 5 games in a row, absolutely, man. I know that not Goff. What's his name? Stafford. I know Stafford's looking for him, man. Yeah, and Stafford just looked fantastic, man. With a little sidearm throw, he'll hit a little sidearm dart, to hit him in the end zone. Man, it's just looking good, really good.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing some stats recently that like Stafford was the guy that brought God, who was that? Calvin Johnson, to like almost or over 2,000 or almost 2,000 yards, recently. And then Stafford's also the guy that's bringing, Cup, almost close to 2,000 yards, And
Yep.
so Puka, with his production, so Stafford just seems to be like the kingmaker. If you want to be a
Yeah,
wide receiver that gets to 2,000 yards, I mean, wow. Imagine if
I love
Hill
it.
were to go out there to LA. I mean, I think Stafford would put him over that 2,000 mark. So, yeah,
Oh yeah, by week 8.
I know, right? It's fantastic. So, yep,
Yeah.
I think Stafford would definitely be a better quarterback for him than Tua. So, all right, but anyway, that's for another
Good.
day. Okay, let's move on to tight ends. We just got a few more minutes here tonight. So, I've only got one tight end, brother. How about you?
I got one also.
All right, hit me with your first one or your one.
So my one is Hunter Henry. It's
Yeah.
it's tough out there, man. You look at all these tight ends, you're like, I don't like any of these guys.
Yeah.
There's just not much. You either have the top 4 or 5, or you're just picking from the stack and just hoping you draw an ace. Um,
Yeah.
Hunter Henry's 18% owned. He had 2 really good games going, and when Zappy was in, he had some good games. I believe Zappy's still going to be the quarterback there this weekend. They're playing against Buffalo. I mean, it's a division game.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's some upside there. And I think going along our contingency, he had a knee injury. He's
hmm
questionable right now. Let's make sure we keep a look at that. But if he plays, I think he's a decent option, man. If you're struggling out there, I think he's a decent option. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was a surprise inactive, I think, in week
Hmm.
16. So
Yep.
he's trending up towards playing week 17.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, yeah, totally good. You're right. He's got a good connection with Zappy, and he could be somebody to catch 75 plus yards and a tutty or two. I've seen a lot of those multiple touchdown games out of him. So yeah, very good. All right, so I got one tight end today, Craig. Tucker Kraft. I know I've named this guy a couple times. Packers only 19% owned on the Yahoo side. He scored double-digit fantasy points in the last 3 games, and he's got the Vikings in Week 17. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said a couple weeks ago, he passed the CCI test. He'll get you double-digit fantasy points. At least he's done it consecutively 3 times in a row. So, yeah, might be a good one to go with if you're really struggling at tight end, or let's say you lost Hawkinson, and you need somebody.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yep. I think both those could be a pretty decent option for you this weekend. So, other
yep,
than that, flip your coin.
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I would lean towards Hunter Henry. If I did lose Hawkinson, as the primary, and then if he's gone, I would take a look at Kraft. So
Yeah.
so.
Cool.
All right, brother. Well, listen, we guys go ahead and wrap it up here tonight. Everybody, good luck on the waiver wire. It kicks off in a couple hours here, and hopefully you get your waiver claims in and get who you need for your fantasy football Super Bowl. Good luck in the Super Bowl, brother. I know you're playing in 2 of them this weekend, and so hopefully you'll bring home the trophy in both.
That's right, sir. That's right, sir. I appreciate that. Yep. Good luck this weekend as well. You're playing in one and you're trying to get to another one. So good
Yep.
luck. Go score those points, man. Hopefully one of your dudes really shows up like Cooper did this week.
That's right. I know. I had Cook 2 weeks ago, and I had Coop in playing in. He was in 2 of my leagues, and drug the rest of my team kicking and screaming with him. So,
Yep. Cool.
yep, cool, brother. All right, my
All right.
man. We'll talk again next week. All
Cool.
right.
Good luck. See
Okay.
ya.
Peace.